I'm a knitter and I have castonitis. Hi everyone and welcome to And So On. My name is Lisa and today is a knitting day. So I have been knitting up a storm the last couple weeks. It's been about a month since my last knitting podcast. And of course I left my FOs on the other side of the room. So I have been knitting up an absolute storm the last two and a half weeks, to the point that actually I'm having some pain right here in my wrist/forearm. And so just starting today, I have to take a bit of a break, although I'm more minimizing rather than stopping knitting altogether. But in the meantime, I have finished 2 items and I have cast on 4 more. I actually have one that's almost done, so I think you'd probably also call that a whip. Now, I have not gone back to the crochet bags that I showed you guys last time, and I also haven't gone back to the Corin cardigan that I'm doing for Audrey. So those are a couple of whips that are kind of languishing, but I do have a plan on how to deal with my whips, and I'll tell you about that next time. Sorry, dog. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this finished object. This is a sleeveless tube top that I made using the Pretty in Pleats pattern, and this is Cazasol 100% bamboo. And if you'll remember last time, all of a sudden while I was filming, it occurred to me that maybe this tank top should be a tube top. Look, I'm now, all of a sudden it just came in my head, I'm kind of tempted to turn this into a tube top. Stay tuned, I don't know. And that was pretty much all I needed. I was like, yes, I'm kind of done with this project. I don't really feel the need to split and do the front and the back and blah, blah, blah. I just made it into a tube top. And so what I did was I knit a little further than where I was last time. I then added a purl row just right here. Then I knit a little longer, and then which created a casing, sewed down the casing and fed through some elastic, and there you go, tube top. So I'll put in some pictures of me wearing it. I really love this thing because bamboo is so cool that even now when it's super, super hot in Spain, I can wear this. I love the tube top aspect of it. I know that's not for everybody, but for me, I really like it. And I can, put a little white linen shirt over top or a little cardi in the fall. So I think for me, this is actually gonna be quite versatile, which I understand is not for everybody, but for me, I'm really happy to have it. I have one in this color and I have one in white, and it's kind of fun to know that you can just take a tube top, a bottom-up tank top, and just when it's time to split for sleeves, instead finish it and have a little tube top. Maybe it's because I'm an 80s girl. I don't know. Well, though tube tops were 70s as well. I was born in the 70s. I don't know. Okay, so there's that. My second FO, don't catch, is the Sailor Swift top. And I love this pattern. You'll see I've already started another one. I knit this in Knitting for Olive pure silk in 2 different colors. And the pattern is striped. My next version, I'm doing a solid. This is my first project fully in the pure silk, and I absolutely love it. I understand how it might stretch out. I haven't had that problem here. I don't know if it's because this has a really nice I-cord edging that absolutely holds in place. It doesn't stretch a ton, especially in the silk. So I haven't found it a problem. The length is really good, although I have to say I probably will knit my next one a little bit shorter. But this length I can tuck into pants, and it's really, really comfortable. I'll put in a picture of me wearing it. I love this thing. I can see knitting a bunch of them, and they're quite quick. Once you get kind of to Body Island, and then I think I knit a bit down, and then I picked up for the armholes and the neck hole. Now, part of the reason is the armholes and neck hole seemed really, really big, and I was concerned that I wasn't gonna get that kind of high neck look. But once you pick up and do the I-cord, it really pulls it in. So yeah, it's just a simple tank top, but I gotta say, it fits me really well. It's got that racer back, but it's not too racer back, so I can wear it with a regular bra, although better with a racer back bra, for sure. And yeah, I actually would love one with navy as well, because this is the black with the putty, and I'd love one in navy. I think I actually have enough yarn that I could reverse this and do black. So this weighs 98 grams, just to give you an idea. So it's 98 grams. And that means that you could get this, and I'm gonna be proof of concept over here, get this out of one special skein of fingering weight yarn. So what a great, use of one skein. Now this is size 2, And so 98 grams, got 2 grams to play with. Could you get a size 3? I don't know, but you could certainly get a size 1 or size 2, or you get a 3 or 4 and just make it more cropped, right? Because this is definitely a good length. Anyway, very, very happy with this. Okay, that's that. I always wonder, like, other knitting podcasters seem to be able to talk a lot longer about their makes, and I feel like I only can talk for a while, and then I'm like, that's about it. I don't really have anything else to say. So if you have any questions about the things that I finished that I didn't cover, let me know below, and I will try to answer them. Okay, 4 new cast-ons. Now, not too long ago, I decided to reorganize my yarn stash. I'll put in a very rough video. This is the after, y'all. This is the after. Basically, what happened was we needed a linen closet. We don't have a linen closet. And so I said, okay, well, I will rearrange my yarn closet, my yarn wardrobe, half a wardrobe, to make room for linens. And so I started going through everything, and I had so many fingering weight leftovers, like so many. Yes, I love a scrappy sock as much as the next person, but that was like dozens of pairs of socks. And I thought I need to get rid of some of this stuff. And so I thought I will knit a blanket. Now I would love to crochet a blanket, but crochet is not second nature to me yet. And so I wanted something that I could really just go. And so I started, it's called the Rectangular Bias Blanket. I think that's what it's called, from Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern. It comes in 2 different sizes, but I'll show you my trick to play with the size. But let me show you here what I've got so far, and you're gonna be shocked at how much I've done. Okay, so it starts, it's corner to corner. Okay, so it starts here. And then what you do is you knit a triangle until one side, because they're both gonna be equal sides, one side is as wide as you want the blanket, okay? And once it's as wide as you want it, which side did I do? Yeah, once it's as wide as you want it, then you turn the corner and you start, so you're increasing both sides until you hit where you want the width to be. So this was as wide as I want it. Then I turned this corner, and then you're essentially increasing on one side and decreasing at the other to make sure that you maintain a rectangle. So you keep going down and down and down. And then once you are the length that you want, you turn the other corner, and then you start decrease, 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 decrease. I'll try and put in a video or a picture of the whole thing as it is now. But as you can see, I started this July 20th. So it's been 3 weeks. And it is just the perfect thing when I'm just sitting on the couch and I've had a couple stressful feelings lately. We all have stress, and knitting is good for stress, right? So I would just like sit on the couch and like knit, 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 knit. It's all marled, it's all held double in all sorts of yarns, all sorts of leftovers. I don't know how much this weighs, but I'm gonna guess it's over 1 kilo for sure. So say it's like 1 kilo, say it ends up being 1.5 kilos, just say. That's 1,500 gram skeins of fingering weight yarn that I've gone through. Some of this is from, like this here, this is like Sweet Georgia circa 2017 or 2018. This was like my Strata vest that I had some leftovers. There's a little bit of whole super soft in here. There's a little bit of Retrosaria Rosa Pomar Mondim. Part of this is from my my advent calendar from Inga from Knitting Traditions last year. Most of that I've used in socks and mittens, but these ones went into the blanket. This is a sock yarn that I had a whole bunch left over, and now I'm working on this wool cotton French sock yarn that I've already made one shorty, and I'm gonna be able to still make another shorty with what I have left over. And then actually, I'm kind of out of leftovers. So I either have to break into some of my Drops Nord that I have a bunch of Drops Nord from when I was gonna use it for the Stephen West mystery shawl last year, and then it didn't work with the design for me. So actually, that's not true. I did start using it, but I wasn't gonna use the whole thing for it. I was gonna use like part and part. So I do have a little bit of leftovers, I guess, from that. I think there's even already a little bit in there. Or I have some more whole super soft but I kind of now have all my super soft together, and I'd really love to be able to do something with it all together. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to be able to, even if I just start another blanket. And that's the other thing, is I feel like now I'm just always gonna have a blanket on the go. Like I can just see always having a blanket there. This one, I need to put my hair back 1 sec. It's so hot and I don't want to put on the fan. So anyway, Audrey has already decided that she is going to take that blanket with her to university. So this time next year, my baby will be leaving for university, hopefully to Dublin, which is where she wants to go. And she wants to take that blanket. So I have plenty of time before the younger one goes. So that one will be for her. And we'll get good use of it in the meantime. But like I said, I've knit that in basically 3 weeks. So I feel like if I always have one on the go, then there'll be, you know, one for family or whatever. And there were a few special leftovers that I didn't want to put in there, things that I do want to use for scrappy socks. So I'm not saying I have no fingering leftovers left, just nothing that's kind of random that I don't know what to do with. Okay, number 2 is a second Sailor Swift top. So I've got this much done. This is a very special skein. I bought this skein at, I can show it to you here. Okay, so what is it? This is merino silk. I think it's 70-30 or 80-20. I can't remember which. From the Spanish dyer Feliz y Punto. I got this last year. I was going to use it in the MCAL. I decided not to. I was going to hold on to it for this year's MCAL. And then I thought, why am I holding on to this beautiful, beautiful skein for a shawl or for a portion of a shawl when it would be so lovely as a garment? Like so soft. And now that I have this pattern that I know fits into one skein, that's what I'm gonna do. Now I do have slightly less than one skein because I gave 10 grams or so to Camila in her advent calendar last year. So I don't have a full 100 grams, but like I said, I do wanna make this one a little bit shorter. So I feel like I'm still gonna be able to do it. And I've already joined here. And now I'm just working down the body. So what I'll do is I'll probably very soon stop the body and do the neck and the armholes like I did for the first one so that I can try it on, see where it's hitting me, and then know where I can switch. Now this one ends with a little bit of ribbing. I don't know that I'll do that on the second one. I mean, I could, but I almost would love an I-cord bind off too. I don't know yet, we'll see. But yeah, and if you can see, I've got a progress keeper here. And this progress keeper is from Time Weaver, and I'll link to her shop. She's got beautiful, beautiful stuff. And she also has a very beautiful podcast in both English and Spanish. She records twice, once in English and once in Spanish. And she's absolutely lovely. So yeah, that's her. And she actually gifted these to me, which is really sweet. So that's another thing. And it was one of those things where, like, why did I just cast this on out of nowhere? I don't know, but I think it was on Saturday or Sunday of this week. I just went, let's just cast it on. And of course, you're starting off here with just these little bits, and so it feels really quick at first. But look at the richness of the color. Like, it's just so beautiful. And this, I also cast this on because I have a navy pleated skirt that you'll see next time that I was gifted to me from Lily Silk. And it's this pleated handkerchief hem, elastic waist silk skirt. It's so beautiful. And I thought it would be so nice in this, but this is black. Not that I necessarily mind black with navy, but I just didn't, in this case, I didn't want to. And so I thought, oh, won't this be beautiful with navy? So that's kind of where that came from. 2 more. I have a dear friend who has a birthday coming up, and she has been going through a very rough set of circumstances in life. And so I wanted to make her something extra special. And this friend of mine is very beautiful, very dramatic, very creative. And she often dresses in pink and orange and cream, sort of swathed in layers, you know what I mean? And she has this big pink hat that she wears, and she has red hair. She's amazing. And I wanted to make her something really special. So this is the Dotted Rays by Stephen West. I bought this pattern last year to make for her last year, actually. out of a different yarn, and the yarn just did not work for me at all. It just killed me. And so this yarn, where's my extra one? Hang on a second, I'll be right back. I'm back, had to change my battery. This is the yarn I'm using. So this is Katia Concept Polynesia. Katia is a very well-known Spanish yarn producer. I've used some of their yarns before. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like so much. It's not like it's a go-to for me, but when I like them very much. So I love all the colors. This is very much my friend. It's got gold and cream and pink, and it's just so pretty. And I doubt that there's natural fibers in this. Let's see. Oh, there's a little bit. Okay, so there's a lot. I lie. It's 55% cotton, 56% cotton, 22% linen, and 22% viscose. So there you go. So it's mostly natural fibers. And I got this at a local shop in Villanova, which is one town over from us. And this was in her €3 bin. So I got 4 of these for €3. So far, I'm still on the first one. I'm about to complete the first one. And let's see how much I can open this up for you. There we go. Can you see? So it's a Crescent Shawl. And I just think it's so beautiful. I did make a little mistake at the beginning, but one thing with this nubby yarn is there's my husband. That's like the 4th time he sneezed. The one thing about this yarn is that I cannot bear to rip it back. Like, I've had to tink back a few times, and oh my goodness, it's just like, it's not easy. And so when I realized I had made a mistake, and it's not something that she's gonna notice, but like a few of these holes are not perfectly in line. They're like 1 or 2 over. I was not gonna go back. So I have looked at this once I figured out the repeats. And if you have made this or you would like to make this, one tip I can give you is, obviously being a crescent, you're kind of going back and forth, creating more fabric at one end and less at the other, and then you end up with this crescent shape. And I would say there's a lot of turnarounds, and every time there's a turnaround, I put a marker, and then as I'm going back, I place where the next turnaround will be, so that when I then got to the beginning of the round and was knitting over again, I didn't have to count and go, okay, I want to make sure that I'm 6 back from the last turnaround or whatever. My marker's already there. And that has made it a lot faster for me, because I'm not constantly stopping and going, oh, did I go too far? Or how many back is it? It's just on the way back, I place the next marker, and that gives me my stop point for when I turn around and start knitting on the right side. I hope that made sense. The first time I made this, I found it a little bit frustrating, a little bit, it's not complicated, fussy, a little bit fussy. Now that I've kind of cracked a system, I'm actually finding it quite easy. So, though still time consuming, but not confusing. So this pattern has a certain number of repeats, and I'm at the point now where my friend is away on a vacation, and if I do 1 repeat a day, then I should be able to have it done by the time she comes back. There's a small version and there's a large version. The small version I can complete easily. The large version, and of course, the larger the shawl gets, the longer the repeats get, right? So what I can do now in a day and what I could do when it was smaller is different. And the other thing being that I do now have to be careful of my wrist, but I'm prioritizing this. And my goal is to do the large version. I have enough yarn, so I should, but I can just see it. I know I keep holding it up for you, but it's just so pretty, and I can just see her loving it and wearing it a ton. Lastly is sort of an anticipation of fall. So I was watching the Amy's Knit Lab, which is Amy Gilles of La Bien-Aimée in Paris, and she was doing a series of videos on her new book, Neons and Neutrals. Now, full disclosure, I initially overlooked this book because I don't like neons, and everything kind of jumped out at me in a way that I didn't really take it in. I didn't really look at it. And then I started watching her podcast because she's so interesting and she's interviewing these designers who are so interesting. And then I started to really look at the designs, and now I want to buy it. Not now, I'm going to buy it at Barcelona Knits in November. from her because I know that they come to Barcelona Knits. And last year I got the worsted book there and I got it signed. And so I think I'm going to do the same this time. But I was watching an interview with Julia Wilkins. If you know the podcast, Matilda and Julia's Crazy Knits, Julia Matilda's Awesome Knits. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'll write it down and I'll link to it. They have a lovely podcast. If you haven't seen it, you should go by and check. Julia is an amazing designer. She has a really cool scarf in that book. But while they were doing the interview, Amy was like, "Oh, I see that you've got a really cool piece of knitting behind you. What's that?" And she held it up and she goes, "Oh, this is a new sweater going into testing." And it immediately caught my eye as being something that, well, I'll put in a picture. So something that's a little whimsical, but not overall color work, but fun, playing with color, and it's worsted weight. And I thought, oh, that's fun. And so I reached out to her and said, "Oh, hey, have you done the test knit? Is the test knit still open?" And what I kind of heard when they did the video but didn't process was that they were recording these videos in advance in like May and then showing them in August. So she was so kind though. She wrote back and she said, "Thank you so much. I'm glad you like the sweater. Actually, it's already been tested. It's being released at the beginning of September, but if you'd like, you can preview knit it and I'll send it to you," which was so kind. And I said, "Yes, please. That's very nice of you." And so she sent it over. Now, I really wanted to make it out of stash yarn because, again, too much yarn right now. So much yarn. I'm not saying I'm on a buying ban because that just makes me want more. But I am definitely on a buying minimum. And so this one I thought you can absolutely, like one of the benefits she even says in the pattern is that you can use scraps for the color work because you really don't need a whole lot. So I am using this is a 75-25 merino nylon that I bought from Yarns of Italy, which is a shop in Riga. I bought it like 2 years ago in a sale. It was really, really inexpensive. And I bought these chunks. And then when it came, I didn't love it. I'm still not 100% that I love it. It feels a little, I can't decide if it's rustic or if it's, I don't know the word. Anyway, there are little bits of blue in here and I'm holding this double and I'll show you what I have so far. I'm about to start this new cake, but here we are so far. So I've done the neck, which I was really worried that it wasn't big enough, but I've tried it on and I've steamed it a bit and it's fine. And I'm into this circular yoke. I've done the first little bit of color work. And my goal is actually for this to be a sweater that my girls and I can all wear. I want it to be, something that they can just throw on and be warm and cozy and not precious about. And yeah, so that's the goal. Now I've picked you need three colors of color work. So her version, as you saw, was light, oatmeal kind of thing with blue, brown, and pink. And one was with blue, forest green, and pink. And again, I did not want to buy yarns. So here's what I'm using. This is a Bloom from Knit Crate. I use this for the Clark sweater that I did for Audrey way back. And I love the way a light gray or white cream looks against brown in color work. I just think it brightens everything up. So I'm using that. And then I'm holding Drops Nord double. And I like this kind of dusty green, dusty pink. I had also a La Bien-Aimée rosy colored single that I also bought at Barcelona Knits last year that I thought maybe I'd use a part of that and like work La Bien-Aimée into it. But the single does not work held double. You can just see the strands too much and this blends together nicely. As you can see, it kind of does a good job. And then lastly, I have this yarn. This is also an old Knit Crate yarn. I don't even know the composition. I think it's a merino silk given by the Shine. I made a droplet capelet by Denise Byron in this a couple of years ago, and I've had this left over for ages. And so I'm also holding this double. This is a bit thicker. I think this is a DK, so we'll see how it works held double. I don't have it handy. I did do a very, very messy swatch. And actually I've gone up a needle size since I did that swatch. I started it on the suggested needles, and then I was worried that the fabric was going to be too dense. So I've gone up a size, or sorry, I've gone up a needle size. I'm making the size small. So it's extra small, small, medium, large. I'll put below what it goes up to, I don't remember. And if it ends up a little bit bigger, that's fine. I don't mind if it ends up a little more oversized. I think it's just gonna be big and comfy and gorgeous. But this one, now that I've kind of started the color work and seen how it's gonna work, you know, we always wanna work on the newest thing, right? And I have to finish this. So this will be finished next. And then I guess this, because, well, let's save that for another day. So that is all the knitting for today. I have lots of knitting plans coming up, but again, I'm gonna save that for another video because I'm still kind of up in the air. And the thing with plans, and let me know how you guys feel about this. The thing with knitting plans is, even more so than with sewing plans, is with knitting, I need to be like inspired and want to cast it on right away. Like, you know, like it needs to be this. It needs to be like, yes, now I just want to cast that on. It has to be a passion project for me with knitting. And so I don't think I can plan 3 months of knitting in advance. I can come up with 3 months of dream knitting, and maybe that's what I'll share with you guys, of like things that I'd like to make. Will I make them? Will I not? I don't know. Let's see. I love seeing new patterns coming out. I love discovering new patterns. I did buy a couple of Sandnes Garn magazines, which I don't have handy, but I'll show them to you next time, or I might even do a separate video on those. I love those Sandnes Garn magazines. So there's a couple in there that I'd like to make. So I do have like plans for the fall. Like I want to make a cardigan. I want to make whatever. But I think I'm going to save that for another video, and I'm going to get the yarn out, get the patterns out, maybe even get crazy and do some swatches, and share with you guys from there. Okay guys, that's all for me. I have to go out and grab some groceries. It's almost time to make dinner, but I'm so glad that I had a chance to sit down and chat with you guys today. Please let me know below what you think of some of my makes. Which one was your favorite? Which one would you get working on right now to finish? And I would also love to hear what you're working on. If you were knitting while you were watching this, please let me know what it was you were knitting. I'm so curious. I watch knitting podcasts all the time, and I only watch them when I'm knitting. Like I don't sit down and watch one if I'm not knitting. It's absolutely can't have one without the other. All right, that's all for me. I hope that wherever you are, the sun is shining and you are sewing or knitting or doing whatever makes your crafty heart happy. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.